Chad Prather.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you, buddy.
You as well.
Been a long time since I've seen you. You came out to the ranch and hadn't seen you since then. I don't know if I made you mad or.
No, I'm not too easy to offend.
I bet you've had some.
I knew. Yeah, I have. I knew what I was getting into. You coming around you though.
Oh, yeah.
James Robbins had brought me out there, so I was in good company.
Yeah.
So
well,
good.
yeah. That's three offenders all together. What have you been doing since I saw you?
Well, let's see. I think you and I met around 2000 through Wade Trimmer in Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
You'd come out there to do a meeting. And then you and TD twisted my arm back around 2003. And I ended up coming to Texas.
Yeah.
Was out here. And then they hadn't let me leave. I've stayed put. Stayed in the Fort Worth area up until about 3 years ago. Went down to the North Houston area. Which, if you'd have told me years ago I was going to move down to Houston and get into that nightmare.
You know the deal. It's God lets people move to Texas, and then if they're good, He lets them stay in Dallas, Fort Worth. If they're bad, He sends them to Houston.
Yeah.
And then, if you're bad, they send you to Amarillo.
That's bad. And that comes with a scent. It really does. It's on the wind. I love what Amon Carter used to say, who started the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, when he said if he went to a meeting in Dallas, he'd take a sack lunch because he wasn't going to spend a dime in Dallas. So a lot of times I've got a meeting coming up here with some folks coming in from all over the country, and they keep saying they're going to Dallas. We're going to Grapevine, which to me is Fort Worth, right?
Yeah.
So I always tell them the difference is it's 1,000,000 miles culturally and about 40 miles geographically,
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a very big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Fort Worth guy.
Yeah.
Unless I'm in like New York somewhere and they don't even know.
They don't know where Fort Worth is.
Like,
No,
Dallas.
But no, I love Texas. I often joke when I'm on stage with folks. I say, I grew up in a family of cowboys, and I was the least cowboy of all of them. And I grew up in a family of musicians, and I was the least musician of all of them. But I was the only person that was ever able to take those two things and make any money from it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So they can kiss my rear end.
Yeah, there you go.
They're the ones who always ask for money. I always tell folks, I was like, growing up in Georgia, let me start over. So I was conceived in Dallas. So as a pro-life guy, I believe I have Texas DNA.
Okay.
But life went downhill quick because I was born in New Jersey, which is where my mother just happened to be when she went into labor. Okay. And I catch a lot of flack for that because somebody put that on Wikipedia about me years ago, and I've never lived it down.
Not good.
It's not good. And so, but contrary to popular belief, there are cowboys in New Jersey. They're up there.
Oh, I know.
They're up there.
There's some good rednecks up there.
After traveling around the world like I have, I've realized redneck is everywhere.
Yeah.
But at 4 months of age, I moved to my mother's hometown of Augusta, Georgia, which is where I grew up, and then went to the University of Georgia. I always say I grew up in the woods. We were so deep in the woods that I got a cousin that got arrested for selling chicken salad sandwiches at a cockfight because she didn't have a food permit. But we were country. I always said we were white trash. They still are. I got out.
You left. Yeah. Yeah. So that's where you were. Were you on staff of a church when I first met you?
I was pastoring a church. The joke used to be, if you want to kill a church, bring Chad in. That was the deal on that. I was a great preacher. I was a terrible pastor. I was too honest with people. I discovered that people like their problems. They don't want them fixed. If you fix their problems, they'd lose their identity.
Yeah.
People identify themselves with their scars and their pain. And so I'm not, as our old friend Doug White used to say, the guy that's going to come pat your bobo.
Yeah.
I'm just not that guy. I like to bottom line it for you. I don't care how it makes you feel. And so people don't like that in the modern American church.
Yeah, it's true. We like to be pampered.
Right. I wasn't good at that.
And we're really good at nursing our victimization. And
manufactured oppression.
Yeah.
We live in a world, especially here in America, where we shouldn't have any problems. But we certainly do identify by them. And if you don't have them, you'll create them.
Hey, everybody. My name's Liam, and I'm the podcast producer here for Conversations at the Ranch. I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. If you do, be sure and like this episode, share it with somebody who you think will enjoy it. Be sure to subscribe to the Kerygma Ventures YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so that way you don't miss a single episode.
So you have been, I watch your stuff every once in a while. I still like the stuff in the truck where you're stuck.
That was my favorite stuff to do.
Yeah.
The problem is it just got to a point where after the Trump got elected in 2016 that we got censored so bad nobody could see it anymore. I used to be able to sit in the truck with the dog in the back seat and put something out there and talk for it. Because my idea was nobody wants to listen to a talking head more than about 60 or 90 seconds.
Yeah.
So the shtick was, how fast can I say it? How fast can I get it out? And I used to know within about 5 minutes of posting something if it was going to go viral or not. And back then, so that's been a decade. March 15th was the first video I ever did that hit 1 million views in a day. And my mother called me on the phone. I joke about this. There's some truth to it, though. She called me on the phone. She said, I heard you were sick. And I said, I'm fine. She said, well, I was at church and somebody told me you went viral. So after a few years, we had counted the views on YouTube and Facebook and all these crazy things in the numbers of the billions of people watching. It sent me to Hollywood. I was represented in Hollywood, management agency, Lionsgate, which has made however many films, very well known. They were representing me. Eric Tannenbaum, who was an executive producer out there who had shows like 2.5 Men on for 11 seasons. Those guys fell in love with me, but the thing is, because of my stance on so many things, Hollywood hated me. So I was writing sitcoms, and I'd get on an airplane on Tuesdays. I mean, all this from doing social media. Yeah. And they'd bring me out. I'd go out on Tuesday, come home on Thursday night. They wanted me to move to California. There's no way I was going to do that. Yeah. So I was in every office, every executive office, in every network. I mean, from the world standards, it was everything that you could look at and say, wow. I mean, you'd get on the elevator with these A-list celebrities, and it was a surreal deal if you're into that kind of thing. It was kind of weird to think about.
So I got 2 questions. What was most disillusioning to you about the church? And then what's most disillusioning to you about that life?
Well, I think that for me, if you go even further back, the church in America, the biggest disillusionment was myself. I was so unsatisfied with myself in terms of identity. It put me in marital problems. It put me in, which ultimately led to divorce. And, my 4 children, broken relationships there, but God restored them. So it's easy for me to sit back and point fingers and say, man, the disenfranchisement and the commercialization of the American church, but ultimately the problem was me. I was at a place of burnout. And so for every finger I point, which the problems do exist, they came back to me. Yeah. And so you look at that and you say, yes, we have a lot of issues in the American church, and I could talk about that for an hour, but it'd just be me complaining. And then I look at that other world where I went out and tried to find another identity, and I look at it and I say the disillusionment there was me too. Yeah. Because I was trying to find something that the world is offering in terms of success, and you can search for reality wherever you want to, but at the end of the day, it's not there. Yeah. I mean, it's not in a bank account. It's not in the bottom of a bottle or a bag of drugs or anything else. There's no reality there. You can search for it all you want. It just gets expensive. Yeah. But at the end of the day, the problem is you. It's fun. It's fun along the way. It's flattering. And I look back at everything I did. So at the time, I had stepped away from vocational ministry in an attempt to save a marriage. Nothing worked at that point. And I just sort of went into the wilderness. I just disappeared. I said, I'm kind of a cave at Adullam kind of thing. I was just going to go navel gaze. And for the first time in my life, I think this was in my late 30s, for the first time in my life, I'm 52 now, I said, I'm just going to see what the rest of the world is like. I'm going to go get a job. Well, that sucks. I mean, if you're used to making a living running your mouth, getting a job is not fun. So I went out into the corporate world and drew a paycheck, and I was miserable. And I can remember being at the gym one day. I was not in the gym. I was at the gym. There's a huge difference. Yeah. I was sitting in the parking lot, and I called someone that was close to me on the phone, and I said, I'm going to go make a living. I think I'm going to quit my job, and I'm going to go make a living being myself. And they said, what's the street value
That's right. Have you counted?
on your personality? So it's interesting, though. At that point in time, I took a deep, hard, long look at my life, and I said, okay, what does that mean to go be who you are? How do you become comfortable in your own skin? Because at the time, I had exemplified a lot of insecurities, a lot of frailties that were there. Just being a grown man who's stuck in adolescence is what that is. It's amazing to me that as a culture in the West, we don't have boys and men. We have 3 levels. We have boys, adolescents, and men.
Right.
And now we have boys calling boys into manhood, and that doesn't work. So that's sort of where I was stuck. But when you start looking at identity and who you are, and okay, can I get comfortable in myself? This is what I think made me successful in what happened for me, going viral and all of these things. The biggest compliment anyone can give me ever is to say that was genuine. That was authentic. I had someone who sent me a voice message this morning, someone that I'm helping, working through some things, and they said, the thing we like about what you're doing is it's authentic. And I said, well, I hope it is. That's what I want. And I think that it's that point in time when you find that place, and this is what happened for me. It's like the heavens part, God reaches down, touches what you're doing, and says, okay, I'm going to bless this.
Yeah.
This is what I like. I don't care how broken you are. I don't care if you're polished. I don't care how shattered you feel, but this is real. This is the transparent thing we like. And so I've often said over the years that the only way to describe what I call, or what people refer to as success, is you're going to have to be comfortable with the vocabulary of the divine. Because there's no other way to explain what I've done than unless God was doing something. I mean, there's no way, because at the time I was doing radio and cable television. This was back before anybody knew who I was. I was on a cable television show, an equestrian show on a network. Nobody's watching it. But to live in a day and age where social media, Facebook of all things, this huge sociological experiment that's probably going to be the death of all of us, where that takes off and you create a career out of that, it's unexplainable.
Yeah.
In really the way it is. And then to maintain that, because it's one thing to get lightning in a bottle. Plenty of people go viral, a lot of them for the wrong reasons. Right. But you sort of get eyeballs on you. Now, how do you build a life out of that? And so it can be very disillusioning. I'm glad that happened to me at the age of 42. I'm glad it happened to me at 42 and not 24, because it would have wrecked me. I don't think people are created to have eyeballs on them like that.
Yeah.
Fame is a desperate illusion. Nobody's supposed to have that kind of attention.
Yeah.
So it would have destroyed me.
You know, interesting, I read some time ago, a couple of years ago, when kids in high school are asked, what's your goal, what's your purpose, what do you want? The number one answer was, I want to be famous.
Yeah.
Don't you just want to grab them by the ears and go, you have no idea what you're asking.
That's right.
For here.
Well, if you look at the wreckage and the tragedy of child stars, and I've had the opportunity over the last several years to know a lot of folks who were child stars. Yeah. A good friend of mine, Chris Burgard, out in East Texas, he was on Growing Pains. He had a lot of bit parts in social, on TV in the 80s, and he'll tell you stories. Well, you'll have dinner with. Last time he's got a ranch out there. He moved from L.A. He's a cowboy, and moved from the L.A. area. Had a ranch out there. Grew up on a ranch, and he bought a place in East Texas. And last time I was out there, we ate beaver tacos. He killed the beaver in the pond behind his house. I said, well, okay. They weren't bad. But this is the kind of guy we're dealing with. But he'll tell you stories about child actors that are out there. I've gotten to know guys like Scott Baio, who was Chachi on Happy Days. You know, he'll tell you stories of these things. And Kirk Cameron is a friend who, and same with Growing Pains. He'll tell you stories of these guys. They're not created for that. And then the world that you're in. So when I went to the University of Georgia, we sat in an orientation, and I'll never forget the guy leading the orientation, crowd of about 1,000 kids in there, said, how many of you are coming here to major in pre-med? 50% of the hands went up. And he said, how many of y'all are coming to major in pre-law? Other 50% of the hands went up. He said, how many of y'all are here to major in pre-wealth? 100%. Went up. But it's interesting that it went from that to now they want to be famous.
Yeah.
You can give me the money. I'm happy with the money. In fact, you said something that I've held on to for 20 years. You said, it's not that I want God to give me $40 million. I'd like to know God can trust me with $40 million. And that's a bigger deal. Yeah. And these days, folks are asking for something, whether it's money or fame.
Yeah.
A huge responsibility comes with that. But with fame, it's even more than responsibility, because now you got a world you're very susceptible to a world that can hurt you really bad. And you have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to use that phrase just this week. I have a grandson. We're driving down the freeway and we signed, on the lotto. Yeah. 999 million. And he said, well, Papa, what would you do if you had 999 million? I said, I would pray and ask God to give me the ability to know what to do.
That's the truth.
Because
I know
that would be a bomb.